Hi all! In this video we're going over Topic 12, Lesson 6, Areas of Polygons on the Coordinate Plane. Let's go over a reminder of what the coordinate plane is. If you remember, the coordinate plane is our plane that has quadrants. They have numbers going up in the positives, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative, down below, positive, going to the right, negatives, going to the left. Quadrants 1, 2, 3, and 4, using our Roman numerals. Now, in order to look at the problems a little bit more easily, I'm going to use some graph paper. Here's a couple of examples. You can see we have a trapezoid here. Now, the fact that it's in quadrant 3 and the numbers are negative doesn't really matter when we're trying to find the area. But let's look at, how can we find this? It's not a square. It's not a rectangle. But I do see from previous problems that there is a triangle here and a triangle right here. These triangles happen to be the same. I'll color him so we can see him a little better. I can see that the base of this triangle is 1 unit wide. The base of this triangle is also 1 unit wide. The height of the triangle is 1, 2, 3 units. 3 units here as well. Now let's look at, we also have a square in the middle here. I can see that my square is 3 units wide and 3 units tall. So let's find the area of these shapes so we can find the area of our whole. My area, if you remember, for a triangle, we'll do the purple triangles first, is 1/2 base times height, which means we'll be doing 1/2 of 1 times 3. Now I know that 1/2 of a whole is a half. I can show that as a fraction or a decimal. I'm going to use a decimal. Now to make things easier, I'm going to multiply 5 times 3 to get 15. However, my final answer is not 15 because I have a decimal point. I need to move it over 1. So it's 1.5 or 1 1/2. That's the area for one triangle. Let's look at the area for a square. My area equals length times width. So 3 times 3. For a final of 9. Move that up a little bit. Now, if you remember from our last couple lessons, we have to add all the areas of all 3 shapes. So I have 1.5 plus 9 plus 1.5. When I add them up, 5 plus 5 is 10. Regroup the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 9 is 11, plus another 1 is 12. So the area for this whole shape equals 12, and since we don't know the exact measurements, we say units, so it's 12 square units. If you put unit square, that's also acceptable. Let's look at this other shape I have drawn. This is our kite, like we've had before. I'm going to draw a line, dotted line down the center. And you can see that it divides it into triangles. I have a triangle here, a triangle here, triangle down below. I'm going to color in this one just so I can really make sure I see what all my triangles are. You'll notice that since I'm coloring in just to be able to see which was which, I don't do it perfect. I don't need to spend a lot of time making sure it's perfect. Let's put in some units of measure. We don't know whether we're talking about inches or not, but we can still count our units. My base right here I can see is 1, 2, 3 units, as well as here. My height is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, I know that this is not a complete square, but we have to count to the very tip. My base of these is also 3. And I'm going to count down 1, 2. You can see I'm counting between the lines of the squares for my numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The height of this triangle is 7. Since these are both exactly the same, I just need to find the area of one of each. Then I can add the numbers 4 times, or add all 4 numbers. Let's look at our yellow triangle. Again, area equals 1/2 base times height. My area is going to equal 1/2 of 3 times the height of 4. Now, you can do 1/2, but if you remember, the commutative property of multiplication says I can multiply these numbers in any order that I want, which means that if I feel like taking half of 4, I can, which I'm going to do. So now I'm going to have my area equals 3 times half of 4 is 2. My area for these top triangles, for each one, is going to be 6. Let's find the area for this triangle. Again, its area equals 1/2 base times height. Area equals 1/2 of 3 times 7. Half of 3 is 1.5. 1.5 to make it a little easier, times 7. I'm going to work the math out here on the side, just to make sure I get it right. Moving my decimal point over, the area for each of these triangles is 10.5, or 10.5. So now I have a 6 plus 6, 10.5 plus 10.5. I know 6 plus 6 is 12. I know 10.5 plus 10.5 is 21. Add those together, I get 33. So the final area of this shape, area would equal 33 square units. And that's because, again, I don't know whether we're talking about inches or whether or not we're talking about centimeters, but I do know that they're square units. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment and I'll gladly get back to you. Have a great day.